I, Soumya Gundlatoti, heartily invite you all for today's PU webinar on topic of understanding geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. It's very interesting topic which all aeronautical, automobile, manufacturing sector students must be known. I am pleased to inform you all that we have a Mr. Jagadish Pastula, Senior Design Engineer from Accenture. Sir has completed his BTech Aeronautical Engineering from NIST. He has an experience of 7+ years. Some of projects Sir dealt with packaging and design of various exhaust sensors components for the client of Land Rover and Jaguar, design and detailing of various components of exhaust system SCR for the client DAF, design and detailing of various components of exhaust system SCR for marine engine, client is MAN DNT, design and detailing of locomotive metro projects, and the client is Bombardier, modeling and detailing of various components and injection module parts, remastering, the clients are BEL, Bosch, Snapfit. Apart from industry experience, Sir has trained top corporate companies on Autodesk Inventor software like Nokia, HMT, Mahindra, and he also trained around 1500 students from top colleges on different mechanical softwares from colleges, Chennai Institute of Technologies, BMS Bangalore, AIT, etc. Now I invite Mr. Jagadish to share his knowledge with our students.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Hope everyone are fine and healthy. So thanks for Soumya for briefing about me. So I would like to thank Parole University for giving this opportunity for me to present. At the same time, I would like to appreciate Parole University at the same time teaching staff for creating this kind of sessions which are useful for our students so that directly they can interact with the industry people. So they'll come to know what exactly is happening outside, which is difficult for you people to come to know when you're in college. So I hope everyone are going to utilize this session to their best. So coming to the session, so today we are going to deal with GD&T. So I hope you can see the screen, right? Presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So so this is my email ID. You can contact me if you have any queries and for the future. Anyway, coming to the session, before going to start, I want to tell you so this is the basic understanding of GD&T. So I can tell you clearly, within a 1 hour session or 2 hour session, dealing with complete GD&T is not possible. So what's my intention or our intention to teach the students is we will try to give the path, our guidelines, the basic understanding of the GD&T, so that later you can dig on from your side if I just give the basic of that. Okay, so without knowing the basics, it's difficult to understand GD&T. That's the reason my intention is to start with the basics so that you can dig on from your side. Okay, so coming to GD&T, simple abbreviation for this GD&T is geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. Okay, the name itself is telling geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. It's dimensioning the geometry. Geometry is nothing but the shape of the objects. So how to control the shape of these objects? So for that we are trying to use GD&T for that. So before going to start, how we are going to use GD&T, we will try to understand what is the purpose of it, where we are using it, why it came into existence first. So what is the purpose of GD&T is, at the time of World War II, in 1938, somewhere around, so they want to produce aircrafts for the for war. So what they planned is they want it, they want to, in the wartime, you are right, they need to produce the parts very fast. So what happened is, what they have planned is in the different places which resources are available, they plan to produce the parts. So what happened is, as per their at that time, they used to follow only coordinate dimensioning, like XY coordinate dimensioning only they used to follow. So what happened at the time is, all the parts got produced, and finally they brought the parts to assemble in other location which is near to the war location or somewhere around. So when they are trying to assemble the parts, it's not assembling. So what they have seen is, they observed it very clearly, and they found out like everything as per the dimensions what they have given, the size is proper, the lengths are proper, everything is proper, still the parts are not fitting. So then they understood like something wrong with the parts, something wrong with the procedure what they are following. So then they come out with this topic called geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. How? See, simple example. Anyway, I'll show with example anyway. Don't worry. So we'll go. So what? That's the main intention behind the GD&T. So why the parts are not fitting? Still, when they are maintaining with respect to the specifications as per the length and size dimensions. So we'll see why it is affecting in the later stages. So what I'm going to cover in this session is like understanding how we are going to understand GD&T and the dimension, different topics of dimension, types of dimension, tolerances, and we will see what the difference is between coordinate versus geometrical tolerance, which is the actual problem now. Like previously they used to follow coordinate dimensioning versus the now with a geometric tolerancing. We will see the differences, what the problem we are getting. And next is fundamental rules, what generally fundamental rules we are following. Then slowly we'll go with the terms and definitions of terms and symbols, and what's the feature definitions, how they are going to help us, and what is the feature control frame. This is the main topic. This is the heart of this, to be frank, feature control frame. And next is how to define the datums and what is the degree of freedom. Like that, we are going to cover most of the topics. So how I'm going to teach is like, the way I'm going to cover the topics, the same way we are trying to use it in the industry itself. So we'll see one by one how it's going to cover. Coming to the next session, introduction. We have already seen, I have told like, first it was used by Stanley Parker. He's the guy who brought this GD&T into the things. So main purpose is like, it's precisely defining the geometry of engineering parts. See, the shapes, what we are getting, the sizes, what you are defining, they're precise. With the help of GD&T, they're going to be very precise. And the other thing is, the language, what we are using in GD&T is universal. Like a whole world will follow the same language, so that wherever you go, wherever you send the drawings, everyone will try to, everyone, then they can easily understand the topic behind it. That's the main purpose behind this. And the main revision what we are using is ASME 14.5 2009 revision. ASME, I think everyone are aware, right? American Society for Mechanical Engineers. So why is a year revision is 14.5 is the standard for GD&T. So like that 14.5, we have 14.3, 14.2, like that. So many standards are there. So especially 14.5 is talking about GD&T. So here generally we are following 2009 revision. Till now we are still, they have upgradations still later also, but still we are using 2009 version because it's very flexible and very easy to understand. A little modifications they are doing every year by year, every year or 2-3 years later they will be doing some revisions. But actual basis 2009 revision is a very good one. So like that 14.5. We have 14.3. It will talk about nut standards, and 14.2 will talk about drawing standards. So like that, each symbol, each that number represents some standards. So like that, we have 14.5 standard for GD&T. And in this session, I'm talking more about ASME standards. We have ISO standards, ASME standards more frequently we will be using, but from ISO to ASME there won't be big difference. A little deviations will be there, but if you are good in one standard, no need to worry about the ISO. It's very easy to understand. So right now, no need to worry about ISO standards. What is the difference in that? A very little difference. We'll find it out later stages. Okay. So next, what I have already told, the need for GD&T and advantages. Main thing is like first time right concept. What happens is without this GD&T, what happens is once you brought that part, if it's not assembling properly, then that part is a scrap. Right? So the resources what you are using, we are not utilizing it properly. So then the more scrap is there, the more wastage is there, then more loss to the company. So we need to reduce the loss or wastage of resources. And waste, I mean, like once the part is produced and it's not assembling, means other thing is resource waste, time waste, right? Time is most precious thing, right? And the other thing is money. So these are the main things for any company to invest. So that's the reason once you created one, once you produced one part, that one has to be first time right concept. So with the help of GD&T, it's going to prove it. Okay. And the second thing, we can find it out. It will minimize the waste and we can use the resources wisely. So what I have explained till now, that's the same thing. And other thing is, it's a precise language for engineering symbols that clearly communicate with the design intent of the part. That's what I told. See, that language is common for all over the people all over the world. So that, if say I worked for 3-4 clients, for different countries like Canada and UK people, for Jaguar Land Rover, for Bombardier I worked for Canada. Different country people, but different standards if they follow, finally they can't produce the parts, right? Because concept of globalization is very important. So different parts will be manufactured in different locations, but they'll assemble in particular location. If one guy is following one standard, other guy is following other standard, finally when it comes to the end, it won't work out. So GD&T is like a precise language. It is universally followed the same standard, so that the intention of the designer can be clearly understood by the manufacturing people, what a designer is trying to tell with respect to that model, so that the manufacturing people try to produce the same part at the end. That is the main intention here. So concept of interchangeability. So see, one part I created here, later stages, the other, like the same part with the different design changes, it has to fit over there. So one company, the same nut and bolt they'll use for fixing some motor. The same nut and bolt in other company they might be using for some other purpose. So this is called concept of interchangeability. The part might be the same, but the usage in different places or different products, the purpose will change. So with the help of GD&T, we can overcome this one also. And the globalization of manufacturing and services. That's what we will be doing. Parts will be manufactured in different places as per the resources available there. And let's say human resource, we will check. Money. Less with less money, we are getting good benefit for production. Means labor cost is less because of these things. This reason China is getting more workforce than compared to other countries, because their working hours are more and labor cost is less. So these are all main things they will be considering in a company. So what they'll do, they'll be producing the parts in other country because the labor cost is less, and they'll try to assemble in some other location. So at the time of this thing, finally when trying to assemble it, they should not face any problem. That's the reason this GD&T will help out to overcome this kind of problems over there. At the same time, application of CAD and CMM techniques. This GD&T helps for the application of CAD and CMM. CMM nothing but computer methods for calculating these models and all. So coming to the next one. So before talking about GD&T, first we need to try to understand the basic terminologies. What is trying to we are going to achieve in this. So coming to that, first one is a dimension. So dimension, what is a dimension? Dimension is going to talk about the geometric characteristic of any part or component specified during design, such as size, length, angle, location, center distance. A simple thing. You might be looking into this kind of drawings from your engineering drawings things. So this is the base for any GD&T. See, in this you can clearly observe There we can simply trying to give the distances, simply 20 mm, 40 mm, this is 15 mm. These are general drawings in engineering drawing, but this is not the drawing for manufacturing people. We are not going to send this kind of engineering drawings to the manufacturing people, right? So for manufacturing people, we will be having different kind of drawing setup. I'll try to show one of the example how the manufacturing drawing will look like. So you'll get more better idea on that. So dimension, I hope you understood about the dimension. So next is the tolerance. So this is the main part in GD&T. One more thing is tolerance. So what is the tolerance? Tolerance is a permissible variation in its size, which is equal to the difference between the limits of size. So I will try to explain the basic, layman manner. Like take one part. I'm trying to produce one part with a length of 100 mm and 40 mm. So that is what my plan. Okay, but when come to practicality, it's very difficult to produce that kind of parts because a lot many problems will be there. Exactly getting the size of 40 mm and 50 mm is not possible. So what they have done is they have given some tolerance for us. See, okay, exactly creating a part with 40 mm or part with 50 mm is not possible because of considering so many factors. So we are giving some tolerance to you. Instead of 50 mm, we can produce the part within a gap like 50.5 or 49.5. This kind of tolerance I'm giving, freedom I'm giving to the manufacturing people. Like you have this freedom. Exactly producing at 50 mm is not possible. So I'm giving you this freedom. You can deviate a little amount of 0.5 at the upper tolerance. Otherwise, we can come below to the original to the lower tolerance, like 49.5 or 50.5. So we are just giving this tolerance to make manufacturing people some flexibility because definitely practically getting a part of exact sizes and dimensions is not possible. Reasons is like you have a drill bit. Okay, you will be making a hole for 100 parts. Think like I need I have one block. I want to make a hole for that block. For that, like that, I have 100 blocks. Okay, so first part, the needle, the drill bit will be perfect. So when you make a hole, it will create a perfect hole dia of example take 30 mm. Like that, you will create 3 parts, 4 parts, 10 parts. After coming to the somewhere around 50 parts, the drill bit will be having wear and tear. Okay, because of that wear and tear, definitely instead of getting that 50 mm diameter, I will get, since the diameter of the drill bit got reduced, you might get it 49.8 mm instead of 50 mm. Since because of 0.2 mm, I cannot reject the part. So what they have given is, they have given some tolerance. Okay, no problem. We are giving you a tolerance of 0.5. So that if your original part hole dia is 30 mm, if it is if I give a tolerance of plus or minus 0.5, so 30 plus 0.5, otherwise 30 minus 0.5. Within this zone, you can make the hole, no issue. If you are beyond this zone, means if you get the hole like 29 mm, I give tolerance of 0.5 only, but you got the hole dia of 29, then that is not accepted. So I can understand getting a perfect size is not possible. For that reason only, I'm giving this tolerance. If you are not maintaining that tolerance also, I'm not going to accept the part. So this is nothing but the tolerance. Tolerance is nothing but a permissible variation in its size. So I'm allowing some deviation in its size within the permissible stuff. Okay, you should not go within that, like above that permissible variation. So for that, we have different types of tolerances which we are using in our daily engineering standards. One is limits tolerance. So there directly we'll tell the tolerance. What is the upper limit? What is the lower limit? A simple, if I have a shaft of 30 mm diameter, so I have given a tolerance of 30 plus or minus 0.5. Then the deviation allowed is 29.5, that is the lower limit. Then next is 30.5, that is the upper limit. So these are the limits here they are showing here. Okay, one is the upper limit and other is the lower limit. So directly they are entering the limits. That's why it is called limit tolerance. Otherwise, I'm trying to tell the single tolerance, that is a maximum tolerance. What I need. I'm not going to specify the plus or minus tolerance like that. So I'll directly tell 1.498 is my maximum size of the part allowed. You should not go beyond that. Otherwise, what I'm talking till now, 30 plus or minus 0.5, 30, whatever it is, that is called bilateral tolerance. Okay, so bilateral symmetrical tolerance. This is called bilateral symmetrical tolerance. Why? Because the deviation is positive side and negative side is the same. So 1.498 plus or minus 0.001. So that plus or minus is equal. So upper side and lower side is a common thing. So that's why it's symmetrical. Asymmetrical means the same value, main value, plus or minus, I'll give two different values. You can see here other side, in the other example, the side one. So the same tolerance, same value, 1.498 minus minus 0.001. Otherwise I will tell in the positive direction, I will tell 0.002 I will tell. Instead of same tolerance, I'll give different tolerances. That is called bilateral asymmetrical tolerance. So these are the different tolerances we are going to use generally in our industry standards. So other one is unilateral tolerance. You can see here, this is the example again. Unilateral means deviation is allowed only in one direction, either upside, otherwise below side, either upper. If you take a shaft, simple example, having a diameter of 30 mm, then if I want to allow the variation only in positive direction, then I will tell 0 and other tolerance will be 0.5. Means only in the positive direction I am allowing the deviation. There is no negative deviation. Means there can be any like 20.8 or 20.9 or 29.9 or 29.8 because there is no reduction in the material. Only I am allowing the positive side. I am not allowing the negative side. So these are the different tolerances available. And the other final thing is, this is a simple example of geometrical tolerance, how it's going to look. You can find it here. Okay, so this is about tolerance. The simple, we'll make it very simple. So tolerance is nothing but a simple deviation allowed or given to the manufacturer so that some allowance, some freedom is given to the manufacturing people because exactly producing at the given values is not possible. So we'll be trying to creating the models of, in CAD, we will find simply we'll give in the CATIA or Unigraphics, we will try to create part block like 100 mm and some 50 mm width and 100 mm length. But actually when they're trying to produce in the shop floor, it's not possible to get exactly 100 mm and 40 mm. So that's the reason we'll give the tolerances. So remember, when you're giving any drawings, tolerance is a must. So and none of the drawings, manufacturing drawings will be there without tolerances. You should give tolerance. Otherwise, it's a big blunder when you're working, we'll be having quality check. So when you are making a mistake like this, a big problem for us. Okay. So next is maximum material condition and minimum material condition or least material condition. So before coming to this, I just want to show you one drawing example so that we can understand what exactly the drawings will look like. I hope you people can see the drawing. So these are how manufacturing drawing will look like. But still there are some faults are there. I have taken from the internet resource, so don't worry. So this is simple drawing. How actually when you're working, how we are going to create some drawings for the parts when it's going for manufacturing. Okay, so this is an isometric view. These are the different views how we have taken, and this is the main thing. So mainly we need to see once to open any drawing. Finally, first we need to see. Why this is coming? So first we need to consider which angle of projection it is. See, we are working for different country people, you will be getting work from different other places. So either you will find it in either third angle projection, otherwise you might find it in first angle projection. Directly don't look into the model and don't look into the 3D what they have given. First have a look into the drawing, first title block. First try to understand which angle of projection they have given. So they'll be using third angle projection. Like Canada people, I know they'll be using third angle projection. But in our engineering drawings, we will follow first angle projections. So first try to understand which angle projection it is. Then slowly go with it's in inches or millimeters. So slowly we need to go. What is the part number? This is a very important thing. Part number. If part number has got problem, then we will have to create some part. We will send some part, and finally they will produce some part. So part number is very important. And next one is a revision. So what is the revision of this drawing? Also very important. The revision is nothing but, first I'll create some model. One 3D part I'll make. So what happens is they might be getting some analysis issue. It might fail in analysis. Some other reasons. It might be not good exactly what we're expecting. That is, might think like that is the first revision. Then again, as per the CIA requirement, again I need to modify the 3D. Then it will go to the second revision. So like that, we will be having revisions. So we need to be very clear with the revision. So simple, I'll just zoom it a little. First, we need to check which angle of projection it is. Then we need to see it's in millimeters or inches. Anyway, this title block is not constant. This title block will be changing as per the company standard. I have taken some reference, that's it. So don't think like the title block will be like this only. It will be keep on changing. Okay. And what is the scale of the drawing sheet? It's a 1:1 scale or 1:2 scale. You need to check these things. Okay. And one more thing is who made this? I mean, like who created the part or who created this drawing? That is also very important because he is the guy responsible for that model. If something gone with this part, wrong with this part, that guy will be held responsible and he has to rectify that problem. So you need to be very clear with this title block. And you can see here, this is a general dimension how you will give in the engineering drawings, like 120 mm or 110 mm or 38 mm, 41 mm. But generally in manufacturing drawings, we won't give like this. No, we need to give tolerances. See 120 plus or minus 0.1 or 110 plus or minus 0.3. So tolerances won't be like 5 mm, 6 mm like that. Very small deviations like 0.1, 0.2 or 0.001 based on the requirement. The more tight tolerance if you give, the more cost will be more. Okay. The more flexibility you give, the cost will be less. But we can't give more flexibility because it will be, we can't use it properly, that part. Okay. So this is a simple example. You can see here, these are the GD&T symbols. See, like this is called flatness of 0.01. Generally in our engineering drawings, we won't find these kind of symbols. We will see only this kind of dimensions like length, what is the radius, what is the distance. Only these things only we will find in our engineering drawings. But we won't find these symbols like flatness, this is one simple one thing they have shown. That's it in this. Okay, I'll have one more drawing. We'll see in that also what exactly they're trying to show. So I hope you got some idea how a drawing will look like in real, like real industries. And I'll show. So you can see here, this is one more manufacturing drawing. Here you can see most of the drawing symbols. Like so, this is a GD&T callout. Okay, so this is called a future control frame. This is a GD&T callout. The same thing it will follow. It will be having one title block. In this, we will tell what is the part like bracket or whatever it is, bracket or angle bracket, whatever it is. We will see the title. We will see the revision. We will see the scale. Everything we will have a look into this drawing. Then we will see the model. Then this is the part what we are going to produce. Okay, so here we have given these GD&T colors like flatness, position tolerance. We will discuss anyway. Don't worry. What is this flatness and all? So this is called position tolerance. These are how a GD&T callout will look. And see here in the dimensions, I am creating a block like this. Okay, so this block is nothing but a basic dimension. Either you have to give the drawing dimensions with tolerances like plus or minus. See here you can see 6 plus or minus 0.3. Okay, either you have to directly give the tolerances. If you're not in a situation to give the tolerances, you need to make a basic dimension like this, like a box. Inside that box you need to give the dimension, I mean like value, whatever the value it is. That is called a basic dimension. So basic dimension is nothing but, it's a theoretically exact dimension, nothing but the value what you are trying to give in the CAD model, like 40 mm or 50 mm. Theoretically they are exact. Theoretically 40 mm means 40 mm only, but practically 40 mm is not possible, right? So what we'll do is, that's the reason we need to give tolerance. So that's the reason here I'm not giving any boxes here. I'll try to show one more, the same one with a better clarity. Yeah, here you can see here. So here you can see 16 is there. Distance from this center to this center is 16, but they have not directly given the 16 here. They have kept one box here, means it's a basic dimension. Either keep it in a box in manufacturing drawing, otherwise directly give tolerance plus or minus 0.2. So this is called basic dimension. This is a dimension with a tolerance. So why they'll give basic dimension is, the dimension is not perfect. This dimension is dependent on the other parameters. So what are these parameters? You can find out this call out. So based on this call out, these dimensions will vary. Okay, we will see these things later, so don't worry. So I'm trying to show how a manufacturing drawing will look in real time. So don't worry about these numbers 3, 4, 5, 7 and all. So only see the drawing with the dimensions and all. See here, if I didn't mention any, here I have not given any tolerance here. So when you are not giving any tolerances, you need to mention in the notes like tolerances are plus or minus 0.5. If you miss this, then it's a big blunder in the drawing. Okay, either make it a basic dimension so that the value of the tolerance will come from this GD&T call out. Otherwise, directly give the tolerance like plus or minus 0.2 or something. Otherwise, directly give the value and make a generic note like tolerances are with a plus or minus 0.5. Means wherever the tolerance is not given, this tolerance is applicable. Okay. So this is how a manufacturing drawing will look like with GD&T callouts. In general engineering drawings, you won't find these tolerances and these GD&T symbols. Nothing you will find. Simply 16 means 16 mm, 15 means 15 mm. But practically, when you're working, definitely you need to give. So you need to decide what kind of GD&T callouts I have to here, I have to give here, what kind of dimension I have to give here. You can't simply give 16 here. They are giving from here to here. You might think like I can give from this edge to this edge. No, you can't give like that simply dimensions from one edge to other edge. You need to see, is there a requirement is there from that edge? No. Here, these two holes are interlinked. Means if any movement in this hole has to be adjusted because it's going to mate with some other part. So we can't simply give from other edge or some other, from this edge I will give you the dimension, from this edge I will give the dimension. It won't work out. You need to see how this part is going to manufacture, how this part is going to assemble. Based on these two conditions only, I am going to give the dimensions. We can't simply give the dimensions from any of the edges. Okay, you might be thinking, why from this center only I'm giving this? Because these three are interlinked together, so that these three holes only are getting mated with some other block. Okay, so any movement with respect to this is a base. With respect to this base only, they have to adjust. Not with respect to this edge, because this edge is not required for me. These holes positions are required with respect to other part which is going to assemble with this. Okay, so this is the one thing I want to highlight here. So we'll come back to our original PPT here. Now I hope you understand how the drawing will look like, how the GD&T callouts will look like. So in that callouts only, we will find this kind of maximum material conditions and least material conditions. So I will show in the drawing here. So here you can see this, in this block, you can find this M symbol. So M means maximum material condition. See, and one is L. Like this only, instead of M, you will find L over there. Means it's a least material condition. We will see what is the maximum material condition, what is the least material condition now. It's simple thing. Already you are aware from the previous things. If you take this shaft null as an example, the shaft diameter, I'll just make it bigger one. Yes. In this you can see the size of, from this you can find here, it's a limit dimension, right? Limit tolerance. You can see from the previous slide. Limit tolerance is nothing but they'll give the direct maximum value and minimum values. That's what they're trying to show here also. They're directly giving the maximum and minimum values. So here, maximum material conditions means when the part reaches its maximum size. Okay, if the shaft of this diameter is 30 mm and the tolerance is 30 plus or minus 5, 0.5, then the maximum size of the shaft will be 30.5. The smaller size means nothing but least material condition of the shaft will be 30 minus 0.5, that is 29.5. That is how we will see maximum material condition and least material condition. Whenever they are telling in the drawing M, then we need to think, okay, they're talking this about this tolerance when the part size is at maximum material condition. So what is the maximum material condition for this block? What they have shown here, 2.007. That is the maximum material condition, right? That is the maximum diameter of the shaft. What is the least material condition for this shaft? When the shaft is at the smaller size. Okay, when the shaft will be smaller size, 2.003. At this diameter, the shaft will be least material condition. For the hole, it will be opposite, right? When the diameter of the hole is 39, if you take diameter of the hole as 30 plus or minus 0.5 with the tolerance, when the diameter is 29.5, then it is called maximum material. Okay, when it will be called least, when it is at 30.5, it will be least material condition. For a shaft, it will be positive. For the hole, it will be opposite. Simple understanding, right? Nothing is there. So if you remove the material, if you have more material is removed, then the weight of the part will be less. If you more material, if you are going to add, the part weight will be more. Nothing but maximum material condition. When the weight of the part is more means nothing but more material is there in that part. So that's the reason it is a maximum material condition. If the part weight is less, nothing but you removed more material from that part, then the part will be lightweight. Nothing but least material condition. So simple understanding, you try to understand again. Shaft, when the diameter is bigger, then obviously the shaft size will be bigger and the weight of the part will increase. When I remove the material, nothing but 29.5 is the diameter, obviously the shaft die got reduced. By default, the size of, the weight of the part will reduce. In the same way, you try to understand for the hole also. So when the diameter of the hole is small, then weight of that block will be more. If the diameter of the hole is more, then weight will reduce because the hole diameter is more means more material I removed. Because of that only hole size got increased. So this is a simple logic which what I observed, students will get confused. A simple thing. Okay. Then we'll see. This is the thing what I have spoke before, coordinate versus geometrical dimension, geometrical tolerance. So here, what's the problem is in this drawing, generally previously we used to follow rectangular tolerance zone, nothing but a coordinate dimension. So you can see here left side, this is a coordinate dimensioning, this is a geometric dimensioning. Okay, so here what is happening is we have one block. They made a hole here. Okay. And the position of the center of the hole, they're giving like this 10.25 plus or minus 0.5. This is nothing but what type of tolerance? Bilateral symmetrical tolerance. So both positive side and negative side, they are giving the same value. If they are giving positive side different value, negative side different value, then it will be bilateral asymmetrical. Okay, so the same thing, what they're doing is the center of the hole, they're trying to exaggerate like this. This is the tolerance zone. Okay, and the GD&T, what we are going to use, we are getting a circular tolerance zone. So previously they used to follow the rectangular tolerance zone. Now they are following the cylindrical tolerance zone. I'll show you with one example. So I have Katia here. So the same block, what they have shown in the PPT, I'm trying to show here. So this is one block, have a hole at the center, had a hole at the center. At the same time, I'm trying to show here. This is the block, having the hole at the center. This is the axis of that hole. We already heard, we have understood, like creating exactly, at the particular positions what they have given is not possible. So what I'm trying to tell is, so they are telling the center of the hole here is 10.25, right? So we know exactly from the previous studies, like creating exactly the whole distance from that edge to create a distance of 10.25 is not possible. We know already because tolerance is there, because creating exactly at that position is not possible because of so many errors, either drill bit wear and tear out or human errors, or whatever the reason it is. Exactly at the distance of 10.25, we cannot exactly at this location. In this with this distance, it's not possible to create the whole distance. So what we did, we gave the tolerance of 0.5. With this 0.5, I'm giving tolerance.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, we are running out of time. We have only 20 minutes left. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any, you want me to continue or any questions on the?
No, you can continue. Just we are having left with 20 minutes only, so it would be better if we do the fast.
Okay. I'll go fast. So, okay, I'll try to show the simple example. So the tolerance zone, what we have shown there, we can try to understand here. This is a rectangular tolerance zone. So that is nothing but 0.5. If to exaggerate it, I'm making it bigger. So for this rectangular block, this is a tolerance zone of 5 mm and 5 mm. To make it simple, I'm making it 5 mm and 5 mm. Means the center of the drill bit, what we are going to create, it can deviate in this tolerance zone of 0.5. 5 mm. No issue. If it is going beyond this 5 mm, the hole will be coming somewhere in this other, either this side or this side. It will go beyond this. So for that, so that's the reason we are giving tolerance zone of 5 mm and 5 mm. Then what problem here is, generally what problem when they're previously following, what they're getting is, when the whole diameter is at this center, you will get the exact position 10.25. But if the whole position is in this at this location, like 10.5 distance, then the part is acceptable because we are giving the tolerance zone of 5 mm. So no problem. Within this tolerance zone, wherever the center of the axis is, we are accepting the part. Previously, that is the situation happened. But when it is coming in this location, beyond this tolerance zone, then part is rejected. At this location, in this location also, if the center of the axis is there, no issue. In this axis, in this edge also, no issue. But if it's going beyond this, then the part is rejected. So what Stanley observed is, see, when this is there at this edge, when you're accepting it, then why not in this location? So what example he created is, so he created one cylindrical tolerance zone. So in this zone, so when the part is at this edge, you are accepting it. When I try to draw a radial circle with respect to that, which is touching these corners of the rectangular tolerance zone, so whatever the parts are coming in this location also should satisfy. You should not reject the parts with this location. So that's the thing. Stanley found it, and a lot of parts he saved the parts. I mean, like a lot of scrap he reduced it with this simple logic. That's the reason. Previously, they used to follow rectangular tolerance zone. Later stages, they started with a circular tolerance zone. That's what they are trying to show it here. So this is what it's saying. Because of this cylindrical tolerance zone, they are having the larger tolerance of 57% than previous one. This is what this slide is explaining here. Then fundamental rules of dimensioning tolerance. So we can try to understand this simple. Each dimension shall not have a tolerance. So I already told you, all the dimensions should have a tolerance. Without tolerance, we cannot give any dimensions other than stock sizes. And if you're not giving any tolerances, I told already we need to give the basic dimension. And you can use reference dimensions also. See, reference dimensions we should not give unnecessarily. If requirement is there, then only we should give the reference dimensions. Dimensions shall not be selected, arranged to suit the function and mating relationship of a part. Simple thing. We can't simply, I told already, we can't simply give the dimensions from one edge to other edge or other edge to this edge. We need to give the dimension based on the mating parts. And 90 degrees dimension is there means we don't have to show any 90 degrees angle dimensions. 90 degrees is just 90 degrees. Not give any angle dimensions for 90 degrees. Other than 90 degrees, we can show it. Unless otherwise specified dimension tolerance apply in state conditions. See, when you're giving dimension means nothing but it's a free state condition. Means there are no external loads on the part. Means no forces are acting on that part. In a free state condition, we are considering the dimensions. So unless otherwise specified, all tolerance apply for full depth and length. Yeah, these are the different GD&T symbols what we are using in a daily life. This is called flatness, straightness, cylindricity. You know, the top 4 symbols are called form tolerances. Okay, the hierarchy is there for these tolerances. The least priority is called form tolerances. The next level is called orientation tolerances. The next level is location, run out. Finally, we'll go with this symmetrical tolerances. We have the hierarchy. Based on the hierarchy only, we need to follow this tolerances. So these are different symbols which we'll use in the drawing. Least metal conditions, maximum metal conditions, tangent to a plane. You can find it out. If you have any queries, you can ask me later also, no issue. Since we have less time, we'll try to go further. Yeah, this is the main topic, one more. So dimensions we are giving and metal conditions that we are giving, we can't simply give metal conditions for all the shapes. We'll give metal conditions only for the sizes or features with the size. Okay. So here 2 types of features are there. We have features of size and features without size. You can take this block as a reference example. The face highlighted in red color, it's a feature without size. Simple, right? If the top of the surface is there, we can touch that, but we can't measure it. So there we can't give any metal conditions. Okay. The same thing they're showing here. Features without size. They're simply surfaces. We can't measure them, but we can feel them. We can touch them and we can feel it. But other thing is features of size. Means features with size. Means like diameter, length, width, slot diameters. All these things we can measure it. They are called features of size. For them we can give the metal conditions. Okay, like maximum metal condition or least metal condition we can give for the features of size. So this is the thing, feature control frame. This is what we are showing in the drawing here. So this is called feature control frame. You can see the block here. The same thing we are finding here in the PPT, the feature control frame. So what the feature control frame trying to tell is the first one is nothing but the symbol of the geometric characteristic, nothing but the symbols. What we have shown here, these symbols. Any one of the symbol will come in the first block, either flatness or straightness, whatever it is. Any of one symbol will come in the first block. And the second block will talk about the tolerance. I mean, like we'll talk about the tolerance. Okay, in the tolerance again got split into 3 things. What kind of tolerance is this? Diametrical or cylindrical or spherical or square? We already seen instead of square for most of the things we'll use diametrical tolerance zone. And what is the tolerance zone of that? We can see here. Then we can see what type of metal condition it is, either maximum metal condition or least metal conditions. Then other one is reference planes. Means we are giving dimension with respect to what? They are nothing but reference planes. nothing but we'll call first one as a primary, second one is secondary, and last one is a tertiary. A minimum is one is required. Maximum not only 3, we can make 4, 5 also, no issue. That is called feature control frame. And next is the datum. So in this feature control frame, we observe like A, B, C are nothing but datums. Okay. So here I'm trying to explain what is a datum is. Okay. Without a datum, we can't measure the distances. Okay. Datum is nothing but the any of the edges or any of the faces at the edge. With respect to those faces only, we'll try to measure it. So we can have a look. Now, primary datum is the most important thing in that. So here different examples are there. Based on the example, how we are going to define the primary datum. And I have created one example for that, how we are defining the datums, how we have defined the GD&T callouts for that. You can have a look here. As I told already, I'm trying to give the path. I try to explain you how the callout will be, what are the different terms they are using in this feature control frame. If you understood this feature control frame, you can clearly try to understand what actually the drawing or what this dimension is talking about. Okay. Anyway, I'll conclude with this. If you have any queries, no issue, you can contact me with the mail ID what I have given to you. So types of tolerances we have already seen, So these are the different tolerances. I tried to thought of showing you with respect to this flash animation. So straightness tolerance, nothing but the deviation allowed with respect to the axis. See, I have given the tolerance of, for this size part, I have given tolerance of plus or minus 0.2. For this size, I have given tolerance. For this axis, I have given tolerance of 0.5. The tolerance I'm trying to show in this. And then next is the flatness tolerance. So I'm allowing this top flat, top face. This is looking like flat, but actually it's not flat. Okay, when you zoom it into the micro level, then you will find these deviations in that part. So how much deviation is allowed? Again, I'm talking here. Flatness only allowed a deviation of 0.5 mm. So like that, we will try to control the shapes. GD&T is nothing but we are trying to controlling the shapes with respect to some tolerances. So here in a roundness or circularity, we are trying to control the circularity of this block. This means circularity is a 2D. At this particular section, this is circular or not. We will try to explain here. We are trying to explain. Same time, perpendicularity. So with respect to this plane, this is perpendicular or not. If it's not perpendicular, how much deviation is allowed? 0.5. So like that, we'll see angularity. So parallelism, we can see like that. So how much parallel it is with respect to this plane. So profile, we can control the profile also like that, run out. So this is how these tolerances are applicable for different applications. So we can't simply give for this cylindrical feature, we can't give flatness. Okay, for rotating features, we can give only run out. We can't give circularity or something else. So like that terminology will be there. Anyway, you can have a look. Otherwise, if you have any queries, you can come back to me, no issues. Okay. So if you have any queries now, you can ask me. I'll try to clear them, how much is possible now.
Okay, sir, I have received many questions regarding the dimensioning and tolerancing, and
yes,
what kind of jobs we can expect with this kind of GD&T.
See, what kind of jobs you are asking, right? With respect to GD&T. See, either mechanical engineer or aeronautical engineer who are want to move into design field, especially design field, they should know GD&T. Okay. In aerospace, again, different departments will be there. Again in automotive, different departments will be there. But all the departments require GD&T because whatever the design you are going to do, finally you have to produce it. Okay. If you want to produce it, means you need to apply GD&T. Okay, any design department, if you want to go, then you should know GD&T. I hope you got clarity.
Yes. Somebody is asking, like, in this current time, do we really having the designing jobs or not?
Yes. Seriously, there is no end for design engineers. Without design engineer, how we are going to create any new parts, whatever it is. Any new car you want to produce, obviously they need a design engineer, right? Might be now situation might not be good for 1 year or 1.5 year. That's it. Yeah, it's nothing like in a lifetime you won't be having any work and all. So a lot many openings are there outside. Since you are not aware of that, you feel like you are not finding any jobs. A lot many companies are there. A lot many MNCs are there who are hiring for engineers. But only thing we are expecting is a good basic skills. It's like drawing skills. We need to have basic drawing skills. I went for hiring for other colleges. What I observed is like few people are very good, but few people they're not in a situation to explain the basic understanding. If I give small drawing like this, what I have shown now, I'll ask him simply, what you understand from this drawing. They're not ready to they're not in a situation to explain what the reality in that. I mean, like what is actually happening in that, what that can't able to explain what is there in that drawing. So what industry people are expecting, the basic understanding of engineering skills like strength of materials or drawing skills. And if you are going to move into a CIE field, then you need to be very good in thermodynamics, and you need to be good in anyway, strength of materials is required for both CIE people and design people. For thermodynamics point of view, design people doesn't require much unless until they are working in engineering department. So a lot many jobs are there outside. Only thing is they're expecting good skills from you people. Simply don't think like I know the software, I'll get a job. No. Software is a simple tool we are using. Software is a tool. Anyone can learn it if they work for around 3-4 months. But background engineering skills is not there. We can't help us out. Okay. A lot many openings are there. We are having openings outside. In recession time also openings are there, but they'll take the right candidate who are having good skills. So don't think like there are no jobs outside. Jobs will be there every time. Only thing, you need to be ready with the good skills. Yeah. Any other doubt?
As some student is asking, as you are, that means Jagdish sir, as you are a design engineer, senior design engineer, so
Yes.
what qualities you would be expecting from a fresher when you are recruiting?
Yes, I told already. We generally I went for freshers, not for recruitment, for training. I went for my company. I'm not telling any company names and all. Okay. So what generally I'm expecting is basic drawing skills for sure, because once you start your career as a design engineer, okay, starting stage you will get more drawings. Okay, at least 1.5 year. You will get more drawings and basic 2D to 3D conversions. You don't expect, just like in colleges or things, what we'll do is like simple, they'll do 2D drawing, they'll make a 3D model. No, this is not going to happen like that in practically. Okay. Practically what's going to happen is they will give you the input like, this is my requirement. See, here I'm getting more heat from the engine. So I want to safeguard my sensors. If you go for engine, okay, so many sensors will be there, like oxygen sensors, DPF, like that, so many sensors will be there. I want to safeguard that sensors from the exhaust. Okay, because from the exhaust, lot of heat will be coming outside. How we are going to safeguard it? Okay, you need to think as an engineer, like, okay, lot of heat is coming there. I need to keep something in that location, like a plate or something, whatever it is. Okay, you can't simply keep some plate there. What kind of plate you are going to keep? What kind of material is required when temperature is more? Okay, so these are all things you need to understand. Okay, so as a basic fresher, what we are expecting is good engineering strength of materials, good knowledge on that, good knowledge on basic thermodynamics. Okay, at the same time, drawing skills, engineering drawing skills. These are 3 main things what we are looking generally as a fresher. And a tool is anyway, a tool definitely, if you know all these things anyway, if you can't implement in the tool, then no use, right? So a tool is important thing. A tool is just a tool. Other than that, technical skills are very important. I hope you got what we are expecting.
Yeah, thank you, sir. At last, I am expressing my vote of thanks to Mr. Jagdish Pastula Sir has spread his precious time and shared knowledge, experience with us. I'm thankful to Parul University and Aeronautical Department for organizing such informative webinar session. In future, I hope we'll again connect to knowledge sharing. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for all. Yeah.